replied after thinking for a moment, but then he thought of something, and his gaze went to Tang Shirshir, who was sitting across from him. How rare do you want it? How rare is it? Is it hard to eat beef raw? Give her a fully cooked one, preferably charred, and then sprinkle super heavy amounts of black pepper and cumin on top. Chu Feng faintly smiled and instructed the staff next to him that if he ate filet mignon, he would let this woman eat the lobster eye steak with added spice. That's, well, one moment please. The staff member also subconsciously looked at the two men, but did not know what to say. Inside the restaurant, a beautiful melody echoed, giving a pleasant feeling of relaxation. What was that black pepper and cumin you were talking about just now? Seeing that this guy looked odd, Tang Shirshir asked with a slightly raised eyebrow. Almost like salt, I guess. Something that makes food taste better. Chu Feng's eyes rolled and he casually replied. Oh, Tang Shirshir responded, picking up a green drink in front of herself and shaking it. She saw that Chu Feng even drank a few mouthfuls, so under curiosity, she also imitated him and lightly sipped, and actually found that the flavor was not bad. Sweet and sour, very addictive. Sit here for a moment and don't move around. I'm going to the restroom, the outhouse. After a short while, Chu Feng suddenly got up and asked her with 1,000 bells not to get up and walk around. This seat will just wait, Tang Shirshir replied without batting an eyelid. Don't ever go away, haha. I'll be right back. As a result, he just got up and didn't take more than a few steps before he turned back and barked one more time. This caused Tang Shirshir to glare at him fiercely, frightening Chu Feng into holding back even more. I also wonder how the demon race is doing now. Looking at the drink in her glass, she got some glimpses of what was to come. The 7 clans of the Devil Dao were the pillars of the entire devil race, and he himself was the Devil Dao supreme above all others. Those clans were not very obedient to themselves on weekdays, and now that she had disappeared and was not there was no telling how things had developed. After Tang Shirshir had experienced these few days of calm, she was suddenly a bit tired of her previous life. Apart from cultivating all day long, she was checking and balancing the various forces of the demon race and fighting with them. That kind of life really made her feel tired. Maybe it's good to stay here for a while, as an excuse to escape. After draining the drink from her glass, her red lips curled into a thin, faint smile. Hello beautiful, in the set menu you just ordered, the filet mignon is not available. Can you change it to something else? Just then, a waiter in a suit and bow tie came over and inquired in a low voice. No more beef? Tang Shirshir inquired in confusion. As soon as the waiter heard this, the smile on his face became awkward. But the customer is God, and he had to explain it again. It's not that we're out of beef. We're just out of filet mignon, and I was wondering if the pretty lady could switch to another kind? Tang Shirshir didn't really know much about what was called filet mignon, but she figured it was supposed to be a different part of the cow. After a few moments of freezing, he replied, just change it then. Feel free to change it. Okay, so how rare, please? The waiter choked on her answer and continued his questioning. How ripe? Tang Shirshir frowned slightly. She didn't know that this eating something was still so troublesome, so she recalled the words that Chu Feng had just said when ordering, and directly mimicked them. Fully cooked, charred a little, with a superdose of black pepper and cumin. That's it. Waiter. Okay, hold on. It takes this guy so long to go to the restroom? After waiting for a while longer, Tang Shirshir scanned around and realized that a quarter of an hour had passed, and Chu Feng had yet to return. This made her feel vaguely bad in her heart. Could it be that she was in trouble? Thinking of this, he hurriedly swept his divine sense out, searching for where Chu Feng was. See that girl at the next table? She's still wearing such sexy clothes on a cold day, so she's probably a. Keep your voice down. This is a restaurant, but she does have quite a body there. You like that type too, don't you? Looks like our brothers stink, so I'll go past her later, pretend I dropped something, and sneak a few pictures. I'll see into it, I'll watch your back. Tang Shirshir's divine sense had just expanded outwardly when she heard the voices of everyone in the restaurant. That is, until 2 pairs of eyes peeked over here after the voice reached inside her ears as well. Although she didn't understand the meaning of clandestine photography, those 2 people said when the word, Tang Shirshir's anger had already reached its peak. Asterisk 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 asterisk. The meaning of these 2 words was still clear to her. After all, when she was in the immortal and demon continent, this was how outsiders referred to Acacia sect disciples, and it could be said to be an insulting term, but killing them just like that would be too cheap for these 2 brats. And Chu Feng had repeatedly instructed that one should not use divine spells in front of the other races, much less kill anyone, or else they would be detected by those supreme powerhouses. Damn it! Tang Shirshir gasped and gnashed her teeth. This kill and can't be killed, but just letting them go is absolutely impossible. As she pondered this, one of the men in black got up and walked over as if nothing had happened. As a result, When she just happened to be walking at Tang Shishi's table, her hand felt down towards her pants pocket, and a black wallet fell to the side of her table. Damn! The man in black cursed to himself and was about to bend down to pick it up when the accident happened. The temperature in the restaurant plummeted, and everyone was like falling into an ice cave. Because at this moment, Tang Shishi understood what this man wanted to do. The so-called sneak peek was voyeurism. She could no longer suppress the anger within her, yet she also never dared to forget Chu Feng's words, only to see that the man had just bent down. His pupils dilated, his face suddenly turned iron blue, and then he fell straight to the ground without moving. Then, Tang Shishi's gaze looked at the other man still sitting over the table. With just a single mental attack, his entire body fainted to the ground in the same way. There was a panic in the restaurant, and many people ran out of the room in fear of the scene. At that moment, it happened that Chu Feng came back, only to see two people fall down at the same time inside the restaurant, and he didn't even need to think much to know who did it. You killed someone? He hurriedly sat beside Tang Shishi while pulling her hand and questioning in a small voice. This seat didn't kill them, it just turned them into cuties. That's all. Tang Shishi replied indifferently, as her slight mental attack would not cause death. But after such a shock, a person becomes an idiot even if he doesn't die, and I'm afraid he'll have to spend the rest of his life in a mental hospital. But it's... Why? Chu Feng was dumbfounded. He had just gone to the restroom, and in just 10 or so minutes he had managed to come up with something so outrageous. It's... Tang Shishi was dumbfounded. She couldn't say that those two were trying to spy on her. This is too much of a loss of face. At this time, the manager and other people in the restaurant ran out, and after checking the two people who had fallen to the ground and found that they were still breathing and had a heartbeat, they were rushed to the hospital. Ask for recommendations. Show reward. Turn the page, please. End of chapter. Chapter 16 The Abdominal Tang Shishi, Request for Catch-up Reading. Chapter 16 The Abdominal Tang Shishi, Request for Catch-up Reading. Because of this situation, many people who dined in the store chose to leave, although the restaurant manager and waiters tried their best to explain. The hall, which was close to being full, all of a sudden had close to half the couples missing. There was a lot of chatter about why those two had just fainted. Some thought they had died suddenly, others thought it was some kind of illness. First, however, food poisoning was ruled out because the steak people ordered hadn't even come up yet. In the future, no matter what happens, consult me first, otherwise it's really easy for something big to happen. Chu Feng did not choose to sit back down, but instead sat on the same sofa as Tang Shishi. Don't worry, this seed didn't leave any traces, Tang Shishi responded in a flat tone. If she hadn't been concerned about the powerful people of this realm, those two people would have died an absolutely miserable death just now. When Chu Feng heard that, he lightly sighed. It was also fortunate that this woman still listened to herself and did not blatantly do it, otherwise the consequences would be unimaginable. And don't you dare call yourself anything this seat, it's easy to be suspected. That doesn't work either? Tang Shishi frowned. She even went so far as to wonder if Chu Feng was deliberately targeting himself with all sorts of outrageous demands. Miss, your steak is ready. Just then, a waiter came over with a tray, placing an exquisite plate of steak in front of Tang Shishi. The steak was seared really well and there was so much black pepper and cumin sprinkled on top of it that it almost hid the steak. You eat first. After stealing a glance at that steak, Chu Feng said with a cunning smile on his face. Oh, Tang Shishi answered. But when she looked around the table, she didn't find any chopsticks and only saw a small silver knife and fork. She was a bit confused. Didn't this place use chopsticks to eat? However, for the sake of face, he didn't ask Chu Feng, otherwise he should be ridiculed by him again. So Tang Shishi covered the hall with her divine sense again and saw the way the others ate their steaks, and suddenly came to a realization. Pretending to be skillful, she took a fork in her left hand and a knife in her right and cut off a small piece of steak meat before bringing it to her mouth. As a result, just after chewing a few times, Tang Shishi's confident face changed. Ahem, perhaps the portion of black pepper was too large. Choking her, she coughed one after another, and her little face turned red. What is this? Tang Shishi's tone was laced with a hint of anger, and she almost lifted the plate. Beef it is, only you might not be used to eating it. After all, it's what we humans eat. Chu Feng smiled and shrugged his shoulders. At the sight of the woman's defeat, her heart suddenly felt a little good. You, Tang Shishi gasped and glared dryly. She suddenly thought that her own copy was ordered by Chu Feng for herself, and the unknown seasonings sprinkled on it were also several times more than the steaks at the other tables. It was obvious that this guy was screwing himself. However, she did not show it, because Tang Shishi thought of another thing. Since he said he was not accustomed to eating, then let's see if he can eat himself. Sir, your steak is also ready. A few minutes later, the waiter brought up another plate of steaks. It was equally charred, equally sprinkled with black pepper and cumin, and the pungent flavor was overwhelming. Chu Feng, wait. I remember just asking for filet mignon, right? And it wasn't fully cooked, and it didn't have so much black pepper on it? Chu Feng stared at the steak in front of him, looking confused. Hurriedly, he called out to the waiter. Oh, I'm sorry, we were out of filet mignon in the dining room, so we got you a different one, and we just took the lead in asking the young lady for permission, the waiter explained after giving the two a strange look. Chu Feng. He turned his head to look and found that woman Tang Shishir with one hand covering her mouth, her eyes as bright as the starry sky curved into the moon with a gloating look. This was the first time Chu Feng had seen her like this. Still a big chapter tonight? So please turn the page. End of chapter. Chapter 17. Anyone else walk their dog without a leash? Requests for follow-up reading. Chapter 17. Anyone else walk their dog without a leash? Requests for follow-up reading. I thought you said this was the food you people eat? Then you eat it and I'll see? Tang Shishir blinked her beautiful eyes, and the corners of her mouth couldn't help but rise. Chu Feng, if you don't eat it, it will prove that you are swindling me. Seeing that the guy hesitated, she continued, and stopped calling herself something like this seat. Who says it can't be eaten? It's one of the few tastiest foods in the human race. Seeing that he couldn't hang on to his face, Chu Feng then picked up his knife and fork, cut a small piece of beef, and after hesitating for a few moments sent it into his mouth. A choking pungency surged to his heart. Ahem. See, ahem. How delicious. He forced himself to endure the pain in his mouth and barely swallowed it before he even smiled in approval. When Tang Shishir saw him look like he was in pain, she was happy in her heart that she was lucky to be smart. Now that this guy has tasted the pain, let's see if he still dares to tease this seat in the coming days. Seeing Chu Feng hastily sipping his drink just after swallowing it, Tang Shishir continued, since you think it's delicious, then you can eat this plate of this lady's as well. The vocabulary of Miss was something she had learned in the secular world of the immortal and demon continent before, and since he wouldn't let her call herself this seat, it would be good for her to call herself Miss. Chu Feng, sis, I was wrong, I really can't eat. He looked at the two plates of steak in front of him with a raw look on his face. I wanted to arrange this woman, but I didn't expect to arrange myself, when I was really asking for it. Looking at Chu Feng's miserable expression, Tang Shishir, for some reason, felt some pleasure in her heart as well. This sense of pleasure was not about getting a breakthrough in cultivation or the joy of getting some kind of treasure. Instead, it was a feeling of pleasure from the bottom of her heart, a feeling she hadn't even forgotten how long it had been since she had felt this way. Then you how to tease this lady about this? Tang Shishir recovered from her contemplation and questioned in an aggressive tone. After she spoke, she rested one hand on her cheek in front of the table and looked sideways at Chu Feng, waiting for his answer. So what do you want? Chu Feng somewhat collapsed, when it was really a stolen chicken. Well, I want to know where the movie theater is? Tang Shishir asked after thinking for a while, when she had just covered the entire restaurant with her divine sense. She had heard quite a few of the human races here seemingly talking about the name of this place, saying that they wanted to go there later, so she guessed if it was some blessed place that the human races called movie theaters. Chu Feng was stunned for a moment. At first he thought that this woman would have some outrageous request, but he did not expect. You want to go to the movies? He asked with a raised eyebrow. Would like to check it out if I can, but if it's easy to reveal my identity, then forget it. Tang Shishir was curious about what a movie theater was, wanting to see if it was a cultivation blessing for the human race or something like that. But if you reveal your identity out of curiosity, forget it. Okay, I'll take you. Chu Feng agreed without even thinking. After all, it wasn't easy to make this woman take in her heart, and it's only a couple of bucks to get to the movie theater, so it's not difficult at all. So cool? Seeing him agree so boldly, Tang Shishir guessed if there was some kind of problem or something, only to see Chu Feng take out his phone and check on a certain platform to see what movies were being released tonight. What do you want to watch? A romance movie? Or a war movie? Or a horror movie? After flipping through the pages for a few moments, he found that there were about a dozen movies in theaters tonight, and quite a variety of genres. What's that? Tang Shishir was confused by what she heard. Is it possible that there are many more movie theaters? Forget it, let's just tell you the movie names directly. The ones that are in theaters tonight are Sinister Spirit, Midnight Murderer 8, Sadako Revisited, Big Little Lies 3, Wind Spell. Just as Chu Feng was reading out the names of each movie, the first few sounded strange until Tang Shishir heard the words Wind Speech Spell and called out to him.